Welcome back to KdKp Noire. I'm K Noire. We're back with the new developments in the NewJeans versus Adore saga. So, we recently learned that the High Court in Sale just determined that NewJeans' contract with Adore is valid. Now, to some that may be surprising, to others they're not so surprised. To us, we were kind of on the fence because we had just seen some previous developments the past few days that kind of was indicating that maybe there could be a break in the situation and maybe they could be released from the contract and go back and start working with NewJeans. Well, that didn't quite work out like that. What we know today is that the court determined that the contract is valid, that Adore has been meeting all of their requirements, and they had re-reviewed the contract and they determined that the contract were still valid. Now, this is a complete discrepancy in which NewJeans had alleged where their contract was just not valid, period. They were being mistreated. They were not being respected. There are certain parameters of the contract that Adore wasn't meeting, so forth and so on. But as of today, those were not substantiated in a court of law. So what does this mean? This basically means that NewJeans' contract is still standing from 2022 and will remain until 2029. That is the standard 7-year contract that is traditionally we see in the K-pop industry. This is just mere speculation of what is in standard contracts that we know. So what does that mean for NewJeans today? I don't think anybody really knows what it means for them today. We do know that the hiatus that they've been on has been intact now for probably about a year since they made that announcement, and we've seen maybe one performance since then. And we didn't see anything after that because it was determined that they violated their contract rules by even showing up for that performance in the manner in which they did. I think at that time they came as NJZ or something to that effect. And the contract did not specify or allow them to do that. So they are back now at square one. And square one means that they have to make a decision. This stems back on the video that we previously done in part 1. So if you haven't seen that, go back and take a look at it, which says legality versus loyalty. Are they going to be held to their contract and the legal ramifications of that with Adore, or are they going to remain loyal to NewJeans and continue to kind of fight this and appeal this, which we have heard that they will appeal it again in a court of law? Come back, the court has come back and still stood with Adore. We have learned that the Korean Management Federation was who kind of looks over all these kind of contracts and things like that in the industry. They were very happy with the verdict because they said it just really showed the credibility of the industry and the contracts and what they do. Now, I understand that very well. But I also understand probably some of the fans are disappointed. Maybe even NewJeans is disappointed at this point as to how they go on. We've seen, if we go back a couple of years, we saw something similar with this with 50/50. We've seen where 50/50 actually bought new members. And I think there was one that ended up staying. And they ended up bringing new members in, and they're still producing music today. So will that happen with NewJeans? We don't know. Could that happen? Possible. That could be a possibility because the show must go on, because the contract still stands. That's something we want to see? Probably not, because we really liked all of these girls, all 5 of them. They brought a great energy and great music and just a great dynamic to the world this time. So we we hope things work out. We did see Hype stock go up. After this verdict was given, they had an increase in their stock. And if you don't know, just to refresh you, Adore is a subsidiary of Hype. So, I mean, it's still working hand in hand. They're still making money. It's still working in the industry. Unfortunately, I don't think NewJeans is reaping any of those benefits. So, the question still remains, What are they going to do? Um, is that a conversation to have with the management, that, with Minhee Jin, or is that a conversation with the parents or parents and Minhee Jin, or just the girls and their parents, whoever the decision makers are in this situation, to say, what are we getting out of this loyalty agreement we have? Um, can there be a mutual agreement reached between Adore and between NewJeans? Minhee Jin will probably not be added in that equation just because I think they have several ties with her legally and everything at this time. But could Adore and NewJeans reach a mutual agreement? Maybe they amend their contract. Maybe they can come to, a meeting of the minds to say that they will start classifying them as workers in Korea, which is a big deal because a lot of the K-pop contracts allegedly don't specify their K-pop members, group members, idol members as workers. So they don't have a lot of rights. And if they did specify them as workers, they might give them a little bit of rights. So it's just a whole big discussion. But those are a lot of the question marks that are on the table right now. But we do, just want to just really know, like, what's next? What's next for NewJeans? What's next for the fans? What's next for Minhee Jin? I mean, she was preparing for them to come with her. What's next for Adore? Do they do a move like 50-50 and start replacing members and just start putting out music because NewJeans refused to do anything else? If that is the case, what happens to these girls' career? Are they done? I don't know. That is so surreal. But are they done? Because if a door makes that type of move, are they done? I don't know. But what I do know is that we'll be waiting to see. So thank you for tuning in. Until next time. Bye.